Good morning, dear students. Welcome once again. In our last class, you might have remembered we have learnt about two natural resources, two important resources, that is land and soil. After land and soil, we are going to proceed on with the third natural resource, and that is water. Yes, water is also a very important natural resource. But before that, I just wanted to ask you that what is the difference between if we are going to keep land and soil on one end and if you are going to put water in another. What is the basic difference between land, soil and water? The basic difference is land and soil are not renewable resource, but water is a renewable resource whom we can use time and again. How we are going to use? By means of recycling. Yes. So it is a renewable resource. Okay, mind you. So let's begin on our chapter with the topic water. Water. Some important facts and facets about the water. Important. It is an important resource as we know, right? And renewable resource. Mind you, it is one of the important and renewable resource. This is very important. Renewable resource. What are renewable resources? Which we use again and again, which can be recycled. Okay, right. Now 3/4 of the earth's surface whose water is saline and not fit for consumption. Mind you, whatever the water available on this earth, the 3/4 of the earth's surface water is saline, that means comprises of seas and another resources or sources which are not fit for consumption, which are not fit for drinking, okay, and not fit for consumption because these are saline in taste. Saline means salty, okay, saline means salty. So 3/4 of the earth's surface water which we get is saline, salty, not fit for consumption. Clear? Now ocean covers 2/3 of the earth's surface. Ocean, your ocean part, if you are going to divide the whole earth into 4 parts, one part is your land and 3 part is your water. Out of those 3 parts, 2/3 part comprises of your oceanic water. Okay, ocean covers 2/3 of the earth's surface whose water is saline, salty, not fit for consumption and not fit for human consumption. Mind you, these are some of the facts about water. Very less amount of water is occurring or happening as fresh water. Fresh water accounts for only 2.7%, from which 70% occurs as ice sheets, glaciers in Antarctica, Greenland, mountain regions which is inaccessible. See, this part, 70% of the 2.7%, only 2.7% is fresh water, that means which is fit for consumption, which you can drink because these are not salty water, right? Because these are not salty water, mind you, these are fit for drinking, only 2.7%. Only out of these 2.7%, 70% occur as ice sheets, glaciers, and where these are present? These are present in Antarctica, Greenland, mountain regions which are inaccessible. Inaccessible means where we can't reach. Okay, so 70% of 2.7% fresh water is inaccessible. That means we can't reach to it. We can't go over there. We can't reach that water. Now, this is some of the facts about water. Why I am telling you these things? So that you don't waste the water. Water is a very important resource which is used to quench our thirst, right? So, water should not be wasted out. Clear? Now, uses of water by humans. What are the uses of water? Not only for drinking, not only for drinking and washing, but also for agriculture industries, generating electricity through reservoirs of dams and other usage. See, this is an important, one of the more important use of water. What was that? A and bathing, we use water for agriculture, number one thing. We use water for industries, number two thing. We use it for generating electricity in our hydropower projects, that means where water falls from great height, which rotates the turbine, and turbine is connected to a generator where it rotates the generator, and as soon as the generator rotates, electricity is produced. Phenomenon is simple, which we are going to learn later on after this chapter only, okay? But mind you, for the time being, apart from drinking and washing, there are other usage of water. What are those? Those are agricultural purposes. For industries we use, for generation of electricity we use. These are some of the usages of water. Clear? Note it down very fast. Note down these things very carefully, because everything is crystal clear. These are small things which are needed to be learned by you in this class during this chapter. Shall we move forward? Now, the factors responsible for shortage in supply of fresh water. What are the factors that are responsible for the shortage in supply of fresh water? If we are getting the fresh water, what are the factors which creates a shortage? That means we have shortage of drinking water. Why? Just because of first factor, increasing population. We know population is increasing day by day. Population keeps on growing up, right? But water, the fresh water, it's very less in quantity, as we know, right? Because of less quantity we have of fresh water, that's why there is a shortage of supply of fresh water, because of increasing population, but water resource is limited on land, okay? Now, rising demands of food and cash crops, because we need water for agricultural purposes also, mind you, right? So we need water for agriculture, for growing up of crops, for foods, as well as for cash crops. These are the crops which give the money directly to man. So these are cash crops, okay? That means for the agricultural part, because we are consuming more and more water, that's why there is a shortage of fresh water. There is a shortage of supply of fresh water. Increasing urbanization. Urban means town, city, okay? So increasing urbanization, this is also a factor which leads to shortage of water supply. How come? When we go to city, borewells are being made or some other equipments are being constructed so that we can have the proper supply of water. Because in city, if we go, tube wells and other sources are there which takes up the water. The consumption of water keeps on going up, right? Every time the man needs the water for washing, cleaning, cooking and all other purposes. So they used to store more and more water. As they are in the run of storing more and more water, we run out of this valuable and useful resource. So because of increasing urbanization, we are lacking supply of fresh water. Okay, all these lead to drying up of water. All these things make the water to get dry up, or you can say it is consumed. And once it is consumed, obviously we will face the shortage of water supply. Clear? Now, one factor is contamination of water. What is the meaning of contamination? Pollution, polluting the water, the contamination of water. Okay? Untreated sewage. Sewage, as you know, drain lines, pipelines, okay? Those are sewage. Okay? Untreated sewage. Agricultural chemicals. These are some of the things, these are the sources of contamination of water. By what factors the water get contaminated? By untreated sewage. That means if the sewage is flowing, suppose if the industrial wastes are flowing, if they are not being treated properly, suitably, and they were discharged in water, they were discharged in ponds, river, lake, they are obviously the water get contaminated. So untreated sewage, number 1. Agricultural chemicals, number 2. Agricultural chemicals and industrial effluents. Industrial chemicals, industrial effluents, industrial wastage in water bodies are major contaminants. These are some of the major contaminants of water. Mind you, just note down, make it a point that these are some of the important contaminants of water. What are these? Agricultural chemicals like pesticides, insecticides, industrial waste or effluents, untreated sewage, waste materials. Okay, all these are major contaminants of water bodies. Shall we move? Now, how we are going to control the water pollution? Water pollution can be controlled by treating these effluents suitably. Suitably before releasing them in water bodies. I have already told you, industries keep on working, okay, and once they are in working position, whatever the waste that are coming out from the industries, they used to throw it directly to the water source, to the water bodies. This is the major cause of pollution. So it can be controlled if we are going to treat those waste materials, treat those effluents suitably by some chemicals before releasing into the water. We will treat them in such a way that it will become less harmful for the water bodies, or it will become non-polluting effect. It didn't have any polluting effect. Okay. If we will treat them suitably and then we will discharge it, or it's not a good thing to discharge the industrial effluents into the river, lake or something like that. But if we are releasing it because of certain reasons, we should treat them suitably before discharging it. Okay, clear? Conservation of water. How we will conserve the water? How we will prevent the water from being wasted out? Forest and vegetation cover slow the surface runoff. Here the word surface runoff. Surface runoff means washing away or taking away of water. So forest, if you plant more and more trees, if you grow more and more trees, if you plant more and more trees, then obviously you are going to slow down the surface runoff, flowing away of water, and replenish groundwater, and you will collect the groundwater. Okay, water usually flows down, and if they flows down, they take away the valuable resource like soil also with them. Moreover, the water goes into at such a place which become inaccessible, or they may go into the place where it becomes polluted. So in order to conserve the water, we should slow the surface runoff by planting trees, by making forest, by planting trees, by increasing the vegetation cover, right? Water harvesting saves surface runoff. One more thing that saves the surface runoff. Surface runoff means the eroding away of water or going away of water. Okay, wasting out of water. Water harvesting. What is water harvesting? The process of collecting water. Suppose if I want to do water harvest, I'll make a big pot or some big ditch is being made out, and the connection from where the water is coming, I'll put a connection to it, so that the water from everywhere will come to that ditch and it will be get collected. This is the meaning of water harvesting. Water harvesting means water collection, water collecting. So water collecting saves surface runoff. Water collection should be done time and again. Now the canals used for irrigating field should be properly lined to minimize loss by water seepage and evaporation. If the water is there in the canal, sun comes out through evaporation or through leakage, the water gets wasted out, right? So how to preserve those water? If we will properly line the canals, wherever it is being used, it is properly lined, goes to the proper position, and Moreover, if we will use that much only water which is required, we will minimize the loss. Clear? So by properly lining up of canals which minimize the loss of water through evaporation and seepage. This is the meaning. Seepage means leaking. Okay? If you are taking water through some pipe, make sure that pipe is not having any seepage or leaking, otherwise water get wasted out. Clear? Sprinklers, you might have seen sprinklers giving water frequently, effectively irrigate area by checking water losses, right? So these sprinklers effectively irrigate area by checking water losses. Water loss can also be checked, can be controlled, can be prevented by use of sprinklers here. Okay, sprinklers use the water in less amount and only that much quantity of water will be given to the plant that is required. Okay, and it prevents the water loss through seepage and evaporation. Now, in dry regions, wherever there is too much heat or wherever there is too much sun, in dry regions with high rate of evaporation, there the rate of evaporation is too high. So drip or trickle irrigation, this is one of the useful methods. Drip or trickle irrigation, you might have learnt in science also, in which the water goes drop by drop, so that it will go to the water, it will go to the plant and is being consumed by the plants only. If you give the too much water to the plants, it will be get evaporated, right? So we can minimize the loss by drip or trickle irrigation. It is also a very useful method for conservation of water. Clear? Up to here I don't think there will be any problem. Clear? Now let's move on further. Natural vegetation and wildlife. This was all about your water. Okay. Now, natural vegetation and wildlife. We are going to take this topic togetherly. Together we will discuss both these topics, natural vegetation and wildlife, because they are no more separate from each other. Natural vegetation means the vegetation or the plants, basically. Plant means flora, animal means fauna. This is fauna, wildlife, and natural vegetation, flora, that means plants. So vegetation or the plants that grow on their own naturally if left in undisturbed. That means plants which grow on continuously when left undisturbed is known as natural vegetation. Or the flora part, you can say flora part, or those vegetation which grows on naturally, that grows on continuously if left undisturbed is known as natural vegetation. Clear? We have to understand these two terms, biosphere and ecosystem. Biosphere, the narrow zone of contact between lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere. I have already told you in standard 7 also, I have taught you. Remember biosphere, plant and animal life? Yes. Here the definition is somewhat elongated. The narrow zone of contact between lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere where natural vegetation and wildlife exist is called biosphere. The narrow zone of contact where natural vegetation, plant life and wildlife, fauna exists is called biosphere. Narrow zone of contact between lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere. I have combined the whole surrounding. You remembered 4 natural components of environment: lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere and biosphere. 4 natural components, yes, of natural environment. These are the things. The narrow zone of contact between lithosphere, hydrosphere and atmosphere where these plant life and animal life exist is called biosphere. Clear? Ecosystem. What do you mean by the term ecosystem? I already told you in standard 7 also, interaction of living organism with each other and with physical and chemical components of the nature, right, of the environment. So the definition will remain the same, the interaction of living organism with each other and with physical and chemical factors of environment. Living organism interacting with living organism and the living organism interacting with the Clear? Now usefulness of plant. What do you mean by the term usefulness of plant? The plants provide timber. Timber means wood. These are the usefulness of plant. Plants are used for what? For these purposes. Provide timber, woods, right? Give shelter to animals. It is also a very important part of usefulness of plants, right? They give shelter to animals. They produce oxygen we breathe. The oxygen, whatever we breathe, is being given by plants. Acts as shelter belt. Remember shelter belt, where trees are planted in rows so that the soil erosion does not take place. Yes, so it acts as a shelter belt and provide us food, nuts, latex, paper, medicine, blah blah blah, and so on things. So if I am going to make a list of all the usefulness of plants or why the plants are being used, it becomes from day to night, but still the list will not be get completed. That much useful is plants here. Clear? These are some of the important terms, and this is the usefulness of plant which you are learning from the very beginning, mind you, right? Now, usefulness of wildlife. As plants are useful, animals are also useful, right? It provides us milk, meat, wool, leather, skin, etc., etc. From the very beginning we are learning, right? It provides us milk, meat, wool, leather, etc., etc., right? Insects like bees provide honey. This thing also you know that from honey bee we get the honey. So we get eatables, we get milk, meat, wool, and other stuff. It also helps in pollination of flowers. In science also you have read pollination, the transfer of anthers to the stigma, right? So it helps in pollination of flowers. So these insects only helps in pollination of the flowers. When flowers grow, flora grows. When flora grows, they keep on continuing. It helps in the existence of survival of life. So it helps in pollination of flowers. Play important role as decomposers in the ecosystem. Mind you, it acts as play an important role as decomposers in the ecosystem. Suppose if somebody dies out, then decomposers like ant and other microorganisms help in decomposing those things and help the nature from getting polluted, isn't it? One more example, they are considered as vital cleaner of environment. Mind you, they are vital cleaner of environment. How? Vulture, an example of scavenger who used to feed on dead parts of the organism or dead organism, who feed on dead livestock. Because they feed on dead livestock, they help the nature in cleaning up the nature without getting it polluted. Clear? So they are considered as vital cleaner of environment. Clear? These are very important usefulness of wildlife or animals which we usually see. Right? Play important role as decomposers and they act as a vital cleaner of environment. Right? As for example, vulture. Now, distribution of natural vegetation. Mind you, natural vegetation, this natural vegetation, the flora part, the vegetation that grows on its own, right? They are divided into forests, grasslands, scrubs and tundras. Note it down. These are the factors, these are the distribution based on which natural vegetation is being divided. Okay, natural vegetation is divided into forests, grasslands, scrubs and tundras. Now we are going to try to understand what is the meaning of forest, what is the meaning of grassland, what is the meaning of scrubs and what is the meaning of tundra. Okay? Let's see. Let's differentiate between these. There are little difference, but all are vegetation, all are flora part. Right? From the very beginning also you might be learning. Let's have the revision. What are forests? Tall trees. Forests comprise of tall trees. Huge trees receiving heavy rainfall. Right? So the areas where we get heavy rainfall, abundant water supply, that area has forest. So tall trees, huge trees receiving heavy rainfall, forest exists in the areas having abundant water supply. So these are the areas where we receive abundant water supply. The areas where we receive abundant water supply, where huge trees are found, tall trees are found in lump that area is known as forest. Grassland, in earlier class also types of grassland, different grasslands you might have learned, you might have remembered grasslands as the amount of moisture or water. Because the amount of moisture or water decreases, the size of tree reduced, right? When we don't give ample amount of water to them, the size of the trees get reduced. In regions of moderate rainfall, short stunted trees, very low trees are being grown, forming grassland of the world. Clear? Grasslands, those areas which has grasses, and because water rainfall is moderate. Okay. Shrubs, both are same. In fact, in dry areas of low rainfall, wherever there is low rainfall, almost no rainfall, thorny shrubs and scrubs grow. What are the characteristics of these shrubs and scrubs? Like cactus, you might have been knowing. Yes, deep roots are penetrated deeply inside the soil so that they can take the water. Thorny leaves are reduced to spines, right? Or thorny leaves. Waxy surface, so that water will not get evaporated out. Waxy surface to reduce the loss of water by transpiration. Obviously, these are the characteristics of thorny bushes and trees, right? As for example, cactus, right? So they have waxy surface, thorny leaves to reduce the loss of water by transpiration, mind you. Okay? So reason having greater amount of rainfall, very high heavy rainfall, forest, moderate rainfall, grasslands, very low rainfall, no rainfall, scrubs. And tundra vegetation, where we get the trees at high altitude. Remember, mosses, lichens are the examples of it. Yes, tundra vegetation of cold polar regions comprise of mosses and lichens. These are some of the important vegetation of tundra type of climate or tundra region, right? Clear? This is about the natural vegetation. Some of the parts we have discussed. Basically, we are going to discuss some parts also, okay? Because time is running out, I don't want to give too much pressure on the same day. You note it down: forest, grasslands, shrubs and tundra vegetation. Later on, we are going to proceed on with another topic. But before that, let's note down some of the homeworks. What are the different methods of conservation of water? Any three. You have to explain in detail different methods of conservation of water. Conservation of water, you have read. Any three you have to mention. Number 2 question: on what basis distribution of natural vegetation is classified? On what basis or by what means natural vegetation is divided? I have just discussed it, okay, right now, a few minutes before. And you have to define what is biosphere and ecosystem. Note it down fast, get it clear. Okay, so these are the 3 simple questions which I have just discussed. You have to make it in your homework copy. Note it down fast, time is running out. Later on, as the classes progress on, we will continue with some of the more facts about natural vegetation. And mind you, wildlife is left. Wildlife we need to discuss in detail. So stay tuned for that. Till then, have a nice day. Stay with your family members. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.